Whoa there, Space Cowboy. Brokeback Bebop is a podcast with explicit content intended only for mature bounty hunters. Listener discretion is advised. Listen to all 40 steamy sessions of the show right now by supporting Brokeback Bebop at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay.
A 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Nice. That was great.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. What were you going to say something? You
No,
looked like you
I
were
was
gonna
just
say
quietly
something.
making the music noise because I always forget that you actually do put something after the let's
You're
jam.
just clashing with that. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another session of Brokeback Bebop. We're so glad to be here. We're so glad that you're here to just float in the abyss of space towards oblivion with us.
Heyo, just a couple of guys next to a couple of screens on top of a couple of rocks, floating through a couple of space.
How you doing, Steven?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing today? Happy day.
Happy day. You know, we don't like to really hammer down what day it is because you could be listening to this at any time. So,
Yeah.
a happy day. It's
Hey,
today.
it ends in Y.
It's today. It only comes once a year. It's a happy one.
Heyo,
Happy day.
celebration.
Watch it be like 9/11 when people are listening to this. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I hope we've found you well. We're here to talk about... it's the 20th episode of Brokeback Bebop. We're here to talk about the 19th session of Cowboy Bebop.
Heyo, that's not confusing.
We're here to talk about wild horses. Another thing, though, of note, that this podcast marks the halfway point of our Brokeback Bebop adventure.
Wow. Look at us.
Because we've only got,
We're
including this
sitting
one,
on top of the hill.
8 episodes of the show left, but we're gonna do the live action and the movie and a couple superlative things, and then we're gonna get the fuck out of here.
We're gonna hop in our swordfish and we're
Yep.
gonna poke our points together.
Yep.
Cause some friction, light a spark, and zoom on towards death.
And Steven's not talking in reference to the episode we're to speak of today. He's talking about the time that he had sex with the swordfish.
It was beautiful and dangerous all in one go.
I'm really curious of like who topped who.
A little of both.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's new with
So
you?
all
You watching
swordfish
anything?
are
You
versed.
got any anime thoughts you wanna get off your chest while the floor is yours?
I
We're in that
do.
country? Okay.
You know, this is an interesting season of anime because normally
Uh-huh.
the summer season is jam-packed with releases. But now that anime has gotten back on its normal release schedule post the start of the pandemic, it's a pretty light season. Just a couple of shows that I really want to watch. This fall is like stacked. But it comes to us the end of the spring anime season, which means the end of Birdie Wing, a Golf Girls story. Watch it if you haven't. For some reason,
could
it's
forget?
great. It's about a golf mafia. Who would want anything more? Only 2 shows I care about this season are the 4th season of Overlord, which is really cool. Basically, this guy is playing this like immersive like video game, and the game servers are getting shut down, and he and his friends are having one last pretend meal at this table, and then the servers get shut down. He gets stuck in the game. Everything becomes real, but he's like super duper overpowered. But he was a bad guy. Like he was.
So
he
it's
was
like Free
role-playing.
Guy.
Yes.
Oh, so he's a Wreck-It Ralph.
He's a Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm on
Overlord's
board.
great, so I'm excited for the new
Cool.
season of that. I have a figure of one of the waifus from that up there. And then a show that I don't really care for, but I'm going to watch it. It's called Rent a Girlfriend. It's about this kid who gets dumped by his girlfriend and he's depressed, so he like pays way too much money for this girl to pretend to be his girlfriend.
But then
'cause
they
that's, like, a
actually
service.
fall in love.
You would think Zach, she didn't really give a shit about him, but she like accidentally meets his like dying grandma who's not actually dying, and unfortunately their grandmas are friends, so then they pretend to like date around his family, but he's still paying her. But he like obviously falls in love with her because he's a loser. But the issue with
Also
this
a
show
Wreck-It
is they
Ralph
made the
situation,
girl
clearly.
super likable. but the guy is garbage. He sucks.
Yeah,
so
because
you don't root for
he's
him.
paying for someone to pretend to like him. That's not usually someone who's cool and fun.
Yeah. So, I like those shows when it's, root for the lovable scamp guy who's, a little bit nerdy, but then the girl brings him out of his shell. No, he's just a piece of shit.
So what you're saying is you don't like when shows have likable women. You need the male main character to be likable.
I need the male to be the one who I
yourself
root
into
for.
him.
Exactly.
I
don't want to insert myself into her. That's not what this is about.
Yeah, Steven's not trying to insert himself into a woman.
I will say everyone in this show is at least 19, so that makes it easier.
Is that a period on that part of the show? Do we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 19, session 19 is Wild Horses. It was storyboarded by a name that's going to be tough for me. Umanosuke
Hey, I'll take it.
Iida. Iida. Iida.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Hirokazu Yamada and written by Akihiko Inari.
Nice. A lot of vowels there. Well done.
This episode in Japan aired on March 6th, 1998. We were just talking before we started recording that this is just under, 98. June 97 was when Mishmash Blues aired. Mm-hmm. So it's been almost
just
a year
days before
since
my
then.
birth.
Yes, almost a year since then. And they re-aired all of the first episodes, and now we're to this one. So weird timeline
It's
for the
a
show.
weird thing. I feel like in the U.S. when a show gets canceled and then comes back, they don't just start over like nothing ever happened. But I feel like that's kind of what happened here.
Yeah.
They missed it the first time.
Well, I'm sure the other episodes were so close to done that they were just sitting around for forever.
Yeah.
And the show was probably semi-forgotten since it didn't end over a year. So they were like, let's just air it again.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the episode in the U.S. originally aired on November 5th, 2001.
Really?
Yes.
Didn't one of the first episodes air September 11th?
Not on September 11th. If you want to vamp for a second, I'll look up so I can tell you how this worked. I think there might have been multiple weeks where they aired more than one episode.
Bunch.
Let's see. Okay, the first episode in the US was September 3rd, 2001. They aired 2 at a time for a while, and they moved some episodes around a little bit too. For example, Sympathy for the Devil, Waltz for Venus aired in December.
Oh, wow. After this?
Yes.
That's confusing.
This is weird. Jamming with Edward. Did I write the month wrong? No, this was November.
2001?
The whole series aired over 3 months.
That's wild.
Except for Sympathy for the Devil and Waltz for Venus, which aired in December.
That's weird.
And then Cowboy Funk, episode 22, aired in February of the next year.
Huh.
After the series finale, which aired in November 2001.
That's really interesting.
So after the series finale was Sympathy for the Devil, Waltz for Venus, and Cowboy Funk.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
That's really interesting, because Cowboy Funk is the episode that kind of hints at Samurai Champloo coming next. So I kind of understand putting that one later on. But yeah, that's weird.
I don't know. I wonder if any of it mixed around. Maybe some of the episodes were lost episodes for a while because of 9/11 similar violence in them or something.
Maybe.
But I don't think any of those episodes were the plane one.
No. They aired the plane one the week after.
It hadn't settled in yet.
They didn't give a shit.
Okay, so what's next? Trivia.
Let's do some trivia.
I've got one question for you.
All right, I've got 2 for you.
Okay, so go ahead.
How tall is George the pirate?
No idea.
He's 5'11", Zach.
Okay, pretty tall, but not fuck you tall.
Yeah, I guess.
What's
if you consider 5'11" pretty tall.
When you're 5'6", it is.
You're not 5'6".
I'm 5'6".
Zach, you're taller than 5'6".
If I'm taller than 5'6",
you know what? Come here and
I'm
lay down.
5'7".
I'll measure you. I'll measure you.
If I'm taller than 5'6", I'm 5'7".
I'd give you 5'7". But don't you goddamn dare call yourself 5'6". again.
My driver's license might say 5'6".
Well, why would you ever say you're shorter than you are?
I've never measured myself.
I've measured you plenty of times.
Yeah, but we're talking in inches. We're not talking
You're
in
exactly
feet.
20 of my big toe. And that tells me...
Is that a lot or a little?
I don't know.
What's the rare tool they need for Spike's ship?
3/8 pneumatic.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Unclear.
Yep. I just wrote down 3.
But I know it was 3/8.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
What is the logo of the delivery truck?
Purple penguin.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Purple penguin.
Purple penguin.
Yeah.
Have you seen that thing where Benedict Cumberbatch can't say the
go.
word penguin?
No.
He did like this nature documentary, and I guess he was like nervous, or he didn't know the word very well, and so he kept saying like penguin, and he like said like penguin, or that's the same thing. But
I can't do an impression of him, but I just have you say he was nervous. I see him reading the script and he like gets scared. And they're like, "Sir, Mr. Cumberpatch,
the pun,
Mr.
wounds.
Patch." He's like, "What is this?"
What is a penguin?
a
The penguins. It was like he just kept saying it like slightly different ways, but all of them wrong, and it's really adorable.
That's
It's
really
worth a
funny.
watch.
Okay.
Yeah, so check that.
Check it
Stop
out, guys.
this show right
Stop this
now.
show.
Go to
Throw
your
it
YouTube
right in the trash.
Premium
Throw it in the
account.
trash. Whatever device you're listening to this on, throw it right in
Break
the trash.
it. Go buy a new one. Look up Benedict Cumberbatch. Can't say penguin.
Yeah. And that's the show for the week, everybody. We will be back next week to talk about Season 8, Episode 9 of Full House. We've really had a good time. Thank you. Tip your waiter, please.
Pump those brakes.
Okay.
Zachariah. You better use something as an air brake so I can curve your angle and save your swordfish, because it's time for America's 15th rated pornography-based segment. Did Zach comprehend the episode of this week? Zach, how are you feeling?
Not great. Not great.
I know you told me in confidence.
Not that I didn't understand the episode, but that I wasn't super attached to this episode watching it.
Sure.
I have some things that I would like to say, that I would like to bring up, but especially as the episode gets heist and action heavy, I get kind of lost.
Are you lost in your own thoughts? Are you lost just like existentially? And this episode brings that out because you were like, wow, a purple penguin. If only I were a delivery truck.
No, it was the first. It's that I get lost in my own thoughts.
You thinking about how handsome and rugged that old man is?
Yeah.
Because I sure am. More on that later. All right. 20 seconds on the clock. I always say
Okay.
that. There's
Yep.
no seconds on the clock, Zach. I'm counting up. I didn't set a 20-second
Right.
like alarm.
There's nothing on the clock. It's a stopwatch,
Yeah, not a clock.
not a clock.
Not a clock. All right.
But there are ticking noises, as if we are counting
Yeah.
down.
Even though we're counting up.
Right.
It should really be more like a beep.
Let the record show that we're counting up.
Just so everyone at home, for those keeping score at
No,
home.
instead the sound should be Steven going, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'll record all the numbers.
Yeah, all of the numbers.
All of them.
All right.
On go. 3. Are you ready?
No.
2, 1, go.
This week we learned the origins of Spike's Swordfish ship, the old man that he got it from, and his new, maybe slave assistant Miles, who he doesn't treat very well. Meanwhile, the Bebop is hit by a computer virus and is floating through space towards certain oblivion and death, and they can't link back up with Spike to get some help. They find out that Spike's
Stop.
thing, and yeah.
You know what? You did a pretty good job setting up the episode. That was
Yeah.
like the solid first third of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, Zach? This one is I get it. It's the first episode we've had in a little while that has absolutely nothing to do with anybody's like back.
But what I would say, though, and this is kind of arguing against myself, I feel like what's wrong with my performance just then doesn't really have much to do with whether I did or didn't get the second half of the episode. I just straight up didn't get to it.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Maybe you got lost in the weeds a little bit.
I did the first half pretty well, but yeah.
I'm going to give you a solid C this week, Zach.
I'll take
Congratulations
it.
on being back to letter scores. Last week was an anomaly.
Yeah, we're not going to talk much about Mishmash Blues. I think I don't think that one's canon.
Yeah, strike it from the record.
Yeah.
Well, next up, what did you think of the episode, Zach?
I was about to say.
Let your heart ring true. This is one that, you know, I'm honestly is one of my least memorable, especially this half of the show. What did you think of it?
It's like 2/3 of the way there. I mean, you say it's an episode that's not backstory, but we learned some cool information about Spike's ship and some hinting towards maybe like a chapter of brief mentorship Spike got from this dude. I think in the same, the Bebop being stranded in space floating and there being a computer virus that could spread to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's almost there. I don't know what exactly it is that keeps me from it. I almost am more curious to hear what you hear as like a Cowboy Bebop aficionado, because I just feel what I feel watching it, and I've watched it 3 times now, and every time, this time better because I literally had to talk about it right after it, but by the halfway point or so, I've tuned out a little bit.
Yeah, I get that. I think my issue is I wish that they spent a little more time on the computer virus part. Because I think that considering you have Ed on the ship, it's much more compelling for me to see Ed in like a hacking computer virus battle than it is to hear an old man yell at his
even
boy.
More time on that plot, the old man plot, but tying it in lightly to Spike in his past, like giving a little flashback, for God's sake, of him with them or something.
I would love a little flashback of Spike, like, just getting out of the mafia and not having any money or place to go and going and like working at this mechanic shop and getting bossed around and being real pissed off about it, but learning a valuable lesson in the long run and being a better man for it. I'm here for all that.
What it is, now that I'm thinking a little bit more about it, unlike most of the episodes of Cowboy Bebop that are, as you like to say, a cosmic gumbo, very jazzy on what direction they go and any direction that they can go, this episode feels a little bit like, well, we've got to get everything to the big showdown at the end of the episode, where typically the show would have no problem slowing the brakes on that side of the show to tell a different story. This time it felt, I didn't have a lot of interest in the pirate subplot. I kind of lost the thread on that one a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I really think that they like just didn't, because they for some reason decided that now they want to stick to the regular script of a show like this and have everybody involved in doing things. They lose out on being able to tell 2 complete stories.
A good, great story about anybody, because they don't put
the connection
enough time
between
into
the old man where he's trying to buy the 3/8 pneumatic thingamajig and the fact that the pirates happen to be delivering things from a truck that also is the same. Yeah. That is a little bit of a reach for me. I like things that connect, but I don't think you had to do that. I think it's fine that Spike could have just been like, okay, I'll help you guys out now that my ship is fixed. And then the old man still hears him over the radio. The radio bit, I buy that. Yeah. You know, we're in a society where the radio is not a heavily used thing. Where the fuck are people playing baseball, by the way? Everything is a desert.
I was even thinking about that. Is it specifically said to be baseball other than them being the Blue Sox?
Yeah, they use baseball terminology like home runs and...
Do they?
Yeah.
I also tune out when sports.
That's fair. What do we think of Miles? Do we like Miles, the spunky, talkative African-American boy?
Really. No, not really.
Yeah, I feel like
I
he
don't.
is very nondescript, key grip best boy of
The thing that I liked most was the scene between him and Spike when we first meet him. Mm-hmm. That classic, kind of like when, not anywhere near as good, but... What was the character's name that Spike gave the "you gotta be like water" speech to, the annoying kid?
Yeah, from
do you remember
Venus.
that character's name?
Rocco.
Rocco's a rock.
He's a rock. It's a rock.
I liked that scene in the beginning, especially there's one bit of animation where he likens what Spike is going through with his ship to how it feels to be rooting for a losing team.
Yeah.
And Spike just pulls this ugly face of like, oh my God, this kid. And I kind of liked that vibe at the beginning. But the episode doesn't really go with that. Instead, it's just the old man like berating him.
Yeah, I feel like that part of this episode is essentially the movie Logan, where Wolverine is a begrudgingly unhappy man and he's for some reason got this little girl, and then they go see Patrick Stewart, and Patrick Stewart's an old man.
Yeah.
Same, and they're in like a desert, I guess. Same shit. Logan's a good movie. Check it out if you like Hugh Jackman.
I love Huge Act Man.
Yeah, that's why I picked that name. He said I'm going to be a huge act man, Mom. And she said, well, you go then, huge act man. And he was like, I will. And that's how he was
That's
born.
how it happened. And the nightmare began. Not really. Huge act man is fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
What I want to say, I did like the moment kind of at the end of the episode when Miles gets to fly the ship, the spaceship.
Now, Zach, I've been,
go-kart.
for some reason,
Buggy.
this thought's come into my head multiple times in the last couple weeks. Zach hasn't been on a plane yet. And
I've been on a personal airplane. Like,
What the fuck? That's terrifying.
My grandpa was a pilot for a very long time.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
And
That's
when
less
I
scary.
was too young to be I really trusted my grandpa. When I was too young to, I would be more scared of that now.
Sure.
Than going on a commercial plane. I don't have any fear about going on a commercial plane. I just haven't yet.
Hasn't come up yet.
It's expensive. There are tons of places I want to go, but if it's a 15-hour drive or less, I'm going to drive because I'm a Midwestern. That's the type of person I am. And if it's like across the country, it's going to be like $500 a person to fly.
Can be. You got to look for those deals. You got to do what they do in the movies and just walk into an airport and say, "Give me your cheapest ticket." And then as you're swarmed by security for being a terrorist.
So what was your point? I've never been on a plane.
Oh, well, because he was like, Miles, like, I thought I was scared to fly, but look at me now, owner.
I think I'll be excited. I think I will really want a window seat, and that I'll really want to take in the views.
Yeah, it's fun. I like flying. I think.
And then 10 minutes into it, I'll be like, "Are we fucking there?"
You'll be like, "I wish I could drive." You know
I think it'll be nice.
Yeah, it'll be fun for you. I recently saw a video, for some reason recommended to me, where somebody drove to all 18 remaining rainforest cafes in the United States.
That was also in my suggested videos. I haven't watched it.
Worth the watch. I enjoyed it.
Aren't they all about the same?
You would think. There's one that has a whole ride. There's one at Animal Kingdom.
Did you go to the Indianapolis Zoo?
No, there's not one. The one there is not alive anymore.
Oh, they don't have it anymore?
Even the one in downtown Chicago where I work is closed.
Isn't the thing that they suck? Like, they look cool, but they kind of suck?
They look terrifying and they're bad. The food's bad. There's thunderstorms. It's very loud. There's something called Mojo Bones on the menu that's ribs. There's an Iggy Piggy sandwich. But my point, going back to it, I do like the part where Miles is flying. I really kind of like that last scene where they go through like the pictures on the wall, and now there's the new one that somebody took,
That was a point I wanted to say earlier. Well, two things that I'll say off of that. I would have liked glimpses of the old man. What's his name?
Daughtry? Chris Daughtry?
Yeah, I would have liked to see... I mean, I'm a sucker for, we see the pan of the bulletin board of all the old photos.
And there's a photo of Baby Spike. And
is there really?
I wish.
I would have liked to have seen glimpses of the old man's, like, Han Solo days in Spike's ship for a second.
That would have been
And
cool as hell.
I really liked, actually a lot, that the second half of the episode is this big life or death mission for the 20th time or whatever, and they narrowly escape with their lives, and then they're just as fucked as they were when Spike was, like, drifting through space.
Yeah.
So Spike's like, you know what, you saved me, I don't care, whatever happens, happens. He relaxes, and then we don't see another sequence of how they got out of that one. We just see that they did in the photo on the wall of the time that happened. I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah, I like that. In terms of, like, important things in the episode, probably the most consequential thing in the whole episode is that scene where he lights cigarettes, like, whatever happens, all over home screens and T-shirts and tattoos and things.
I think that's a good place to be. It can be a pessimistic place to be, but I think it's a good thought to have, to give up control.
Yeah,
because you don't have as much as you think you do. And I'm saying that to myself and to you and to everybody. You know what?
Yeah.
Like, there are times, and it's good to try to take control when you can, but I think we're like, well, I got to do this so I don't get cancer in 30 years. I don't know. We have this, like, magical thought, and it's okay to just be like, eh.
Well, and I think that falls into the whole ego death of it all. You know, it's been said many different ways. Lauryn Hill has her song "Everything Is Everything." Spike has "Whatever Happens Happens." K Sarah Sarah. Yeah, you know, and then there's my existential saying that I was on that soapbox for a while. What was, what is, and what will be, will be.
There's nothing worse than someone pessimistically being like, nah, it is what it is. But at the same time, sometimes it's nice to be that way. If you get in a car wreck, if you're okay, don't be pissed. Be like, what happened. Let's just take care. I like to be from that mentality.
I like to roll with that. Like, it is what
I
it
see
is,
that,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I roll. I kind of roll with it. I like to just, go where the wind
Cosmic
blend
Dumbo.
blows. It's really cosmic.
Keep going,
Dumbo.
though. We've only got a few
Speaking
minutes.
of moving
What
to
did
the
you
beat
wanna
of
talk
jazz, there's
The
two really
music.
good songs in this episode. I like the one that they played during the initial dogfight with Spike and the pirates. That one's pretty good. Maybe they've used that one before, but I like it. And then one that they've certainly used before, but maybe not to the same extent. The chameleon sound alike, not look alike, but it sounds kind of like the song Chameleon. The bum 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 ba 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 bum bum bum.
Was that during the main action sequence, kind of?
That was during the second tier of it when Spike was trying to not burn up. Super fun.
That whole sequence, even when I wasn't quite paying attention to the episode, I was engaged with the music throughout all of it.
Yeah, that's super fun. I think that one thing I like musically about this episode that is kind of cool is I feel like the episode normally sticks to a music theme. It's either super jazzy or it's super honky-tonk country
in this one.
or it's like samba rhythms. But this one, it starts off, there's depending on where they were, the music was different. And I like that. I think that
We got
having
the
that
sections
really...
of the kind of staple music from the first episode that reminds me a lot of South Park music, the kind of twangy acoustic guitar kind of sounding stuff.
Yeah.
The westerny kind of sounding, and then the jazzier, more upbeat action sequence. Yeah, it's both for better and worse kind of a Cowboy Bebop plays the hits type episode.
Yeah, totally. This is like an episode where if someone's like, hey, what's Cowboy Bebop like? This wouldn't be the one I show them, but this is one you could show someone just like a random episode to throw on. I think Cowboy Bebop makes a really good throw on the dub in the background show for me because I can always look over and enjoy what's happening.
Seen it a bunch of times.
Yeah,
Can tune
and
in
this
at
is
about
an
any
episode
second.
that you could be like, cool. Ba 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 ba. And have a good-ass time.
Well, before we give our captains and get out of here, anything else you want us to remember from this one, or anything? We focused a lot on the meta bad. Anything positive about this episode you'd like to highlight while we've got time?
I think the animation's really solid this whole episode.
I agree.
It dates itself a little bit with the big
3D
CGI
It
satellite.
wasn't so bad, but
it's not so bad.
It's a little PS2-y.
Yeah, but considering this show came out when the PS1 was still
was out,
prominent,
yeah.
then it's
it looks
pretty
better
good.
than a PS1 for sure.
Yeah, and that's something about this show, and I think
it looks
it's
better
cool.
than a PS1. That's something
Yeah,
about this
that's
show.
what they say. All the reviews were like,
It
looks
does
better
look
than
better
PS1.
than a PS1.
90s anime is kind of like the Wild West of Japanese animation because it was a time where Disney and Pixar were just starting to come to fruition in the United States,
Sure.
and there was a big push to do things digitally. And Japan
Sure.
kind of doubled down and was like, no, we're going to hand draw the shit out of this. And
I think
include a
that's
little
really
bit.
cool. Hand-drawn animation is beautiful, and we don't see enough of it, especially in theaters on the big screen
Yeah.
anymore. About the only time you see it is when an animated TV show comes to the big screen.
Yeah.
And that's disappointing because it's beautiful.
It's great. I mean, there's so much work, especially like...
It's hard. I get why digital is better. And digital looks incredible. Don't get me wrong. Pixar films, like Lightyear just came out. I mean, the animation is just improved and improved when it comes to CGI. But there's something just so real and fluid. And I like when animation doesn't just mimic reality.
Yeah.
Like it can be a shade of reality, but I don't know, like the Bob's Burgers movie is still fresh in my mind. I love seeing 2D animation like that.
Yeah. It's great. Watch more anime, Zach. It's almost all hand-drawn.
Maybe.
I got this great show for you. It's called Toilet Bound Hanaka-kun.
I'll check out Rent a Fuck Doll, or whatever you said.
Basically.
Do you want to do a captain? Do you've got an easy captain for this one?
This one's kind of tough, but I think I'm going to go with Spike for my captain this
Me
week.
too.
I love his attitude the whole time, especially
Good
the first
Spike
time
episode.
that he's like, fuel thing's busted, you can drink my whiskey, I'm going to die. And he's like, I guess I'm not going to die. And he's like, I'm going to die again, it's fine.
He's
I
not
like
a
that.
hero or an asshole in this episode. He's just like one of the players in the events. And
Now,
like
here's
this
what
one.
I have a
I
question
do.
for you, Zach. We're like
like
right
Spike.
at the
Yeah,
end
sure.
of today's show.
yeah.
The last episode we watched the Japanese voice actors, which was your first time seeing that.
It felt like home coming back to the regular voices.
Yeah.
Or from my perspective, the regular voices.
Sure.
Because things like the way in animation, like Faye throws her head around when we see her on the video screen in this episode, I just feel like the voice is suited for it.
Yeah.
I feel like Spike saying, well, what are you gonna do? I feel like it's suited for that voice. Now, it's because I'm an American. I'm sure if you're Japanese and you try to watch this version, it probably sounds too
Silly.
charactery and
Yeah.
sounds silly. But for mine, it sounds way more like what I know the show to be.
Yeah,
of
it's
course.
safe. I'm just curious. I'm a huge
It's tough
fan
to
of
compare
both. So
last week to this because I'd need to watch one of these episodes without the dub to know
Yeah.
for sure. Well, that's it. This was fun.
this was good.
Any last words for the freaks out there?
You know, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Don't stress out about
Okay,
anything because
Sarah.
everything is insignificant, but in a good way.
Michael, Sarah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Support this show and our podcast network at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast, where starting at $5 a month, you can get immediate access to all 40 outrageous sessions of Brokeback Bebop. See you next time, Space Cowboy.